This person commented, "You ain't no scientist, lil bro." Now this channel hasn't been up for long, but I get quite a few comments on a daily basis, some of which are a bit stranger than others. So I'm going to go through them today. There are some juicy ones in there with a bit of hate, but it's all good fun, and there are actually some useful comments in there that we can learn a little bit from as well. So starting off quite tame, we have this comment here. "Just order a takeaway. Why would you not take the opportunity to eat loads of calories?" Now I think this was on one of my bulking videos. He's got a point to a certain extent. If you've watched my videos for a while, you probably worked out that I don't necessarily subscribe to the whole everyone should be doing a natural foods diet regardless of your body composition goals. I think a lot of the people who talk about that haven't struggled at any point in their lives to gain weight. People such as myself, when I was a skinny kid back in high school, I would have kind of 5,000 calories a day and it wouldn't do anything to my weight. In fact, if I ate kind of 4,000 a day, I would be consistently losing weight. So in scenarios like that, it's virtually impossible to eat the calories that you need to gain weight just from a natural diet alone. And that's because generally speaking, natural foods are less calorie dense. Yes, they're packed full of more nutrients, but that also includes things like fiber, and it's going to be really hard to consume a lot of that food. So you're going to need things like peanut butter and oils and calorie dense foods that you can consume lots of. However, I don't think that having a takeaway regularly is a good idea for bulking. And that's generally because it's probably going to be full of a high amount of saturated fat. With some takeaways, it might even be difficult to know how many calories are in that dish, meaning that actually it's going to make it more difficult for you to know how much weight you're going to put on. And just generally consuming that amount of sodium on a daily basis is probably not a great idea. If you're otherwise fit and healthy, having a weekly takeaway is fine for your health, unless that coincides with excess weight gain, or if you're getting to the point of having a takeaway every night, because at that point you're probably missing out on a lot of micronutrients as well. So this person kind of has a point, but if you're going to do this regularly, I would probably recommend against it. So the next comment here was on my video about whey protein. Just eat real food. So for those who aren't aware, whey protein is real food. It's a byproduct of the cheese making process that was many years ago maybe thrown away, but is now seen to have some nutritional value, as it rightly should be. So companies will extract all of the moisture out of it, heat it, dry it, and that turns it into whey protein powder. Perfectly healthy, many studies have failed to show a link between protein shakes and adverse health outcomes, and to that end we even find whey protein in nutritional products for babies. So is a food and is safe. This next comment, "Source, trust me bro." A lot of the shorts that I do are meant to be quick and snappy, and I'm not afraid to say the ideal is to reel people in so that they watch the full video and get the context. In my videos I will always either have the research on the screen for you to see, or it will be in the description of that video. Complete transparency, then you can go and read it for yourself if you really want to, and double check that what I'm saying is real. Next comment, "Mass gainer is the worst thing you can buy." Now this person also goes on to say that mass gainers are essentially empty calories. That was his argument. I completely disagree with this. Now whilst some mass gainers might be full of, how do I put this, less nutritional things, the advertising for mass gainers is actually quite honest. And in terms of things that are empty calories, I would really put mass gainers towards the bottom of that list. The whole idea of a mass gainer is that they pack as many nutrients in as they possibly can. If you've ever looked at the ingredients list of a mass gainer like Serious Mass, it's basically designed to be a meal replacement shake. They have added in lots of vitamins and minerals. You've got carbohydrates, proteins, fats. So compared to something like a milkshake or just a whey protein shake, a mass gainer is essentially more nutritionally complete. Now obviously if you compare that to a natural food meal with the same macronutrients but contains whole foods, micronutrients, phytochemicals from the veggies that you're not quite going to get from a mass gainer. But saying it's the worst thing that you can buy when it literally does what it says on the tin, aka providing you with a high carb, high protein drink on top of your daily diet, I think is a bit of a poor take. This next comment says, "All blue zones drink moderately, go away." I particularly like the end of that comment. And it is true, I've seen some of these documentaries where people in blue zones or longevity zones where people end up living past 100, they do often consume alcohol, but I think that's more of a correlation, not a causation. And this person actually does comment again and make quite a good point in that alcohol might have a pro-socialization effect, but I would really argue against that being a reason to drink alcohol. And we know by now from the research that we have that even a small amount of alcohol is certainly not going to be positive for your health, and it has a bit of an increasing negative effect with the more drinks you have. So I'd be really cautious about interpreting the whole blue zones are drinking thing, and definitely don't use that as a reason to start drinking. This next comment is one of my personal favorites. This person commented, "You ain't no scientist, lil bro." And I think this was one of the videos where I started by saying I'm an exercise scientist. And I suppose it's time I give you a bit of background about myself. So I completed my bachelor's degree in sport and exercise science, and then went on to do a postgraduate qualification in applied health research, during which time I have worked at a research center. My main research interest is on muscle loss in clinical populations, and I have published research in that area. Now I will give it to you that the word scientist is quite vague. Cambridge Dictionary says it's an expert who studies or works in one of the sciences, but I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not I'm worthy. And hey, if you don't think so, you can always just not listen to what I say.